First drawing game. You should have instructions next to your web view that you can do if you prefer printed instructions, but if you want to just see how it all works, this walkthrough should help. So I have here, I'm open up to app.typescript. If you look over on the left, there's all these different files. Most of these files you shouldn't touch. Index.html is our actual web page. So that's where like you could change the name. Like I just changed Mr. H, and I'm going to see Mr. H drawing game show up there. I'll get rid of that because I don't like it. And then this points to main.javascript. And main in turn points to app, and app is where we're going to do our work. So other than changing the name of your drawing, everything you do is going to be in this app folder. Just ignore everything else. Like those config files, the only thing you can do is make mistakes or break it, so don't touch that stuff. Later on in the course you'll understand it, but you don't have to understand it now. So this file has imports. We've already got a context, which is our drawing context. Think of it as our pen, and a canvas from the canvas module, which is here, just sets that canvas up. And I've got this make button control, which is already there. So if you just came right into this file and just did a command from our hello world, like ctx stroke rect, let's say, notice as I'm typing, I get a broken screen on the right when my code is invalid, but then it just automatically reloads. I can go ahead and type a drawing command like this, stroke rect 200, 200, and it will just draw the rectangle. So our first task is to make a circle. So the circle command is arc. So if I did like 50, 50, 50, 0, math.pi times 2, and then I have to call stroke to make the arc. Oh, it's 50, 0. There we go. I don't know why it didn't work the first time. I just had to get it to reload. And then I should do a begin path. So this is how I would draw a circle. Begin path, arc, there's my circle. So this is 3 commands. It's like start a new path, move the path in an arc, and then actually draw it. And there's my circle. But what I want to do is make it so that that shows up when I click a button. So the first thing I'm going to do is create the button. I have this make button function, which allows me to do that. So I'm going to say, let circle button equal make button. And then that function is designed to just take, and the hint in here tells us it just takes a string. So if I just write draw circle, I'll get draw circle. So there now I have a button. Doesn't yet do anything. To make the button do something, I'm going to use this add event listener method. That takes the name and event, so I'll go ahead and put click. And then it takes a function. And you could think of this as, well, so here. Listen for event. When they click, do this. So think of a function as a doing this thing, and then the function moves from the beginning left bracket right there to the end right bracket. So all of this code will happen every time they click. So if I just take this circle and copy paste it in there, now when they click draw circle, the circle runs. It's going to run over and over, which is less obvious. I'll make it here. If I do a math.random times, it's getting a little hard to see, so I'm just going to put my arguments on new lines so that it's more readable. Perfect. Now, each time I click draw circle, I get a different circle at a different point. Cool. So that's kind of handy. I created my first button, and what I did is first made the button and then listened for a click on the button and then drew something in response to the click on the button. It's really easy to make new buttons, so if I want to make a button to clear the screen, I can say let clear screen button equal make button clear screen. You might actually want to organize your code so you create all the buttons at the top and then you connect all the buttons. That's up to you, so I'll just do that here. Create buttons, connect buttons. And then for my clear screen button, I'm going to add an event listener. And it's just going to say ctx clear rect 0, 0. Canvas width, canvas height. All right, and now I can draw circles and I can clear the screen. All right, so that works. I've got 2 buttons. As we draw more and more, this file gets longer. So before I do the next one, I'm going to go ahead and stick it in a new module just to show you how that works. So I can come over to this app folder and I can add a new file. And I'm going to call this one line drawing.typescript. Like app, it's going to need the context, the canvas, and the button. So I'm going to import all that stuff. And then at the top of app, I'm just going to import line drawing so that line drawing gets run. Now I can go ahead and say draw line button equal make button draw lines, and you'll see that came in. Notice that comes first because of where I imported it. So it ran all this code before it ran this. I think if I moved it down here, nope, doesn't matter, it still comes first. So that's just a side effect of that. All right, back to drawing lines. So the next thing in the tutorial is drawing when the user clicks. And this is a little more complicated because fundamentally what we want to do is make it so that when they click on the canvas, they can draw. So I'm going to start doing that just the simple way. If I just say, hey, canvas, add event listener function. Oops, I forgot to click. Notice I get red underlining if I make a mistake, which is quite helpful. So when they click on the canvas, do this thing. And it's pretty easy to just say line 2. Now, of course, I need to know where they're clicking. So how do I do that? So remember, this was when they click, do this. So this code in the middle is going to get called each time they click. The browser will call that, and it actually passes it a thing called an event. And that event is a special object that represents the click itself. For our purposes, all we need to know about the event is it has an offset x. And it has an offset y. So if I just make a line to wherever they clicked and then stroke each time they click, I now get drawing. And notice my button isn't doing anything yet. So I've got the draw circle, and then I have the line drawing, and I'm just continuing a path. So that's a really simple way of making a line drawing, but I wanted to connect it to a button, right? So if I'm connecting it to this button, in that case, rather than running this code all the time, I want it to run sometimes. And this is going to involve a couple of new concepts. So first of all, I'm going to have to be able to remove the event listener. To do that, I have to actually name this function. So I'm going to take that function and copy paste it out here. And I can just give it a name. Between the function and the argument, I create a name here. I'll call it draw on click. So draw on click is now a special function. At this point, everything works exactly the same. So instead of saying function here, I basically am pointing to that function. So now it's like, all right, when they click, run draw on click. Draw on click is up here. It says line 2 and stroke. So all I did right there is just basically rename the first thing I did. Not a big deal. However, now what I can do is I can take my draw line button. So now I'm saying when they click the button, click, do this, right? Function. I don't care about the event because I don't care about where they click that draw lines button. And in this case, I'm going to add the event listener for the clicking. So now there is no event listener. I click draw lines and there is. Now I've made my first mistake. I can tell because the other buttons disappeared. My suspicion is something is wrong in this. So I'm going to go ahead and click the gear to see the error. Oh, I called it add event handler. It's called add event listener. I just mistyped it. And it was underlined in red. I should have known that. But people make mistakes all the time. So that was a quick fix of a first mistake. All right, so now draw lines. We'll make the lines work. And draw circle works. Cool. Pretty good. I've got some bugs, but basically works. But there's no way to turn the drawing off, so now the drawing always happens. So if I want to turn the drawing off, I'll need to turn this into what we'd call a toggle. So that will get a little bit fancier. And I'm going to create a variable for that toggle. I'll just call it let drawing mode. So let drawing mode equal false. And now there's a few ways I could approach this, but I'm going to go ahead and add and remove the event listener for now. So what I'm going to do is if we are not in drawing mode, we enter drawing mode. So this is my first if statement. I've got these little squiggles to say if this exclamation point means not. I'll add some comments for that. If we are not already in drawing mode, then draw on click. And in that case, drawing mode becomes true. Else, canvas, and you'll be surprised to learn it's just called remove event listener. And remove event listener takes the same arguments, click and draw on click. So that's nice and parallel. We just remove the thing that we just added, and drawing mode equals false. The last thing that would be nice would be to just change the text. So here we'll just take the button, draw line button, and it has a property called text content. So we'll change it to stop drawing. And here we'll change it to draw lines again. And now draw lines draws. If I click stop drawing, it doesn't draw anymore. Click it again, and it draws again. If you wanted to start a new path each time, which we might want to do, I might want to just add here CTX begin path. Let's try that. So now if I draw lines, I draw shape, stop drawing, draw lines again, this time it starts fresh. So there you go. That is a basic drawing mode. And at this point, you are through the introductory materials. I'm going to make a separate video for how you might expand this, but this is just the walkthrough of the beginning.